From The Hearse Song by Alvin Schwartz. Don't you ever laugh as the hearse goes by, for you may be the next to die. They wrap you up in a big white sheet from your head down to your feet. They put you in a big black box and cover you up with dirt and rocks. All goes well for about a week. Then your coffin begins to leak. The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out. The worms play pinochle on your snout. They eat your eyes, they eat your nose. They eat the jelly between your toes. A big green worm with rolling eyes crawls in your stomach and out your eyes. Your stomach turns a slimy green, and pus pours out like whipping cream. You spread it on a slice of bread, and that's what you eat when you're dead. This is Gothic. Little red button and say recording. Who's this Rick fellow, and why is he or she or they recording?
His name is Rick Cording.
Why are they ording?
He's a dragon, so he's hoarding.
Yes.
He's hoarding the ordings?
Rick the dragon.
Hoarding
hoards
Rick
everything.
the dragon. That's my next character is Rick the dragon.
It's like a cheesy villain name from like an 80s cop movie.
Yep, how did you know? That's my next character.
Well, Inheritors, we return to Elk Island after our interlude back in the contemporary now. We find ourselves on Elk Island returning to those moments where dire and terrible things have been happening. As our players can see, as I'm sharing the tension tracker with them, the tension is high. Very, very high. Also, last time, no fewer than 3 13s were rolled, which not only increased the tension because of failed and lost survival points, but gave me more survival points to use for my bad guys. However, what you're most interested in is where are our characters? Some of them are still in the heart of Fog Mountain. Jason, Carl, now the singular Carl.
Remember that singular Carl.
And the FBI agents, Owl Nizoni and Susie Call. Unfortunately, Frank, the other FBI agent, has been rendered unliving, or just rendered. And, of course, as you all will probably recall,
Don't say it.
Skeen Marcotte is quite headless. Meanwhile, down at the Spirit Bay Lodge, Gigi Marin and Allison Monser find themselves facing a group of, well, they're not the rabbit-headed people anymore. They are just visitors and townspeople staying at the Spirit Bay Lodge, along with the owner and proprietor, Sonny, who has just taken Allison captive and, in fact, has just said something to the effect of, "When you left us there in the woods, we were taken by the thing that once was William Kittredge," evidenced by the black swirling smoke behind their eyes that you see as these people, and I use the term loosely at this point, capture Allison and then advance on Gigi, who has run back inside the lobby of the lodge to aid her cousin. So let's pick up there, shall we? What do you do, Gigi?
Okay, sorry, I'm just writing down. I hadn't realized they were, like, controlled by him. I thought they were just themselves still and just being, little jerks.
She grabs the shot off the bar and chugs it really quick. All right, let's brawl.
I need another survival point. Give me that shot.
Yeah, if there's a shot on the bar, I'll down it. I was actually going to ask, would having survived and escaped the situation with William in the house, would I get a survival point from that? Is that a thing? I can't recall if that's... No?
No.
Okay.
Getting a good night's sleep will give you 1 or 2, maybe. Making it to the sequel will give you 2.
I thought surviving a scenario, maybe that's what making it to the sequel means.
We could talk about surviving a scenario giving you, survival points. But what are you at? 0? 1?
Yeah, I'm at 0, y'all.
Oh, good work. So yeah, I actually would say that there are several drinks lined up on the bar there off to the right. People have stood up from where they were sitting on the bar stools. 3 of them, in fact, are the ones who are holding Allison, who is struggling and cursing in a manner that you had not previously associated with Allison.
I am impressed. Yes, I shall snatch a strong-looking amber beverage out of the hand of one of the people and chug it.
The Popeye the Sailor Man theme song plays. No, I can't do it. That's the one.
I was thinking bad reputation, but that works too. Yes, and I'm gonna fight these people. I'm gonna try specifically. I'm gonna try because I was picturing a lot of people. Like
there are several. That is true. There are not just 3. 3 are the ones holding on to Allison.
Right.
There's also Sonny, who is behind the lobby desk, and there are probably another half dozen in various places around the lobby and bar area.
All right, so like 10-ish altogether.
Sure. Sounds like a good number.
Down that drink, give myself that survival point, and I'm gonna punch. I want to punch these people. I'm gonna punch them a lot. Or kick them. We said last time I do kickboxing.
I was going to suggest that there are bar stools nearby, but you have established yourself as not just a mixed martial artist, kickboxer, but also as a cage fighter. I believe we established during the last episode.
You know what? You're right. There are bar stools. This is the lobby-ish area of a hotel. Can I see a fire extinguisher anywhere?
Weren't you looking for the fire extinguisher once before?
No, I think you're thinking of...
No, I got the fire extinguisher.
Yes, I'm sure there is indeed a fire extinguisher behind glass somewhere here. I'm pretty sure you don't wish to spend the survival point to have access to that immediately.
I was afraid you might say that. Yeah, sure. I will just pick up a bar stool and I'll use that then. Unless and until I see a fire extinguisher. I kind of want to spray people. I think that'd be fun.
Well, there's plenty of seltzer behind the bar.
Everyone knows that kills black smoke demons. So it's like signs. Yes, I wish to attack these people. I was pissed at them anyway for attacking us in the cabin. And now that I know they're little William Kittredge puppets, I wish to do them a great deal of harm, and I would like to get started doing that.
I'm not going to say, roll kick some ass. I am instead going to say, but you get to use your kickboxing thing on this. Despite the fact that you did roll most recently in our last episode, I will let you go ahead and roll again.
Okay. It's just the roll tracker we're resetting each time. Cool.
Yeah, just the roll tracker, not the tension points.
What is that?
Those don't reset each time.
9. That's a 16 plus 8, which gives me a 24.
Are you trying to do this bar stool cage fighting business to get Allison free, or just to deal survival point damage?
Yeah,
and physical damage to the rabbit-headed folk who aren't currently wearing rabbit heads.
Gigi is not a forgiving person under the best of circumstances. And having had these people come after her and her newly found family, or newly rediscovered family, multiple times now, I think she'd be fed up enough that she'd be trying to hurt them and, like partially for like punishment, but also just to like stop them from coming after them again. Because I have a feeling that even if, you know, I were to like dart in there real fast and pull Allison out and run away, like they're not going to stop.
You're just going to swing kind of madly at some of the those around. All right. So as Gigi lifts up the a bar stool and shouts her war cry right after having downed a couple of shots and a what appears to have been a triple old-fashioned.
Can I, as the fight is going on, like continuously snatch drinks and go like, thank you, as I down more of them?
Almost certainly. You did take a survival point, right?
Yes, I did take one,
for the bad habit. As Gigi lifts that bar stool up above her head and leaps into action, we will freeze frame her in mid-leap and mid-grimace and go up into the heights, into Fog Mountain. Jason, you are pulling Owl Nizoni out of the chamber of the eye. He has just ripped his shirt off, you will recall, and not in the I'm about to pose for a sexy fireman or men of FBI calendar, but rather revealing a vast network of tattoos all across his upper body, torso, arms, back, even up to his neck to where it would be covered by the collar of his shirt that he has ripped off. And he had just been tracing one of those tattoos on his arm as you wrench him away, and you feel that you were only able to do so because something was interfering with the just cascade of terrible memories of something inhuman and ancient that rolled over you just then. And now I believe you're moving in almost a fugue state, but moving on instinct. What are you doing?
Just really trying to get out of the range of whatever power this is. I'm just trying to drag Owl as best I can. What kind of state is Owl in?
I guess we're going to find out, because I think I'm going to have you roll a persuade check, because he seems inclined to continue trying to, best you can tell, mute this horrifying onslaught of alienness that is pervading this space.
Ooh. 11.
Yeah, nope, you're going to have to drag him out, and he's like, no, you've got to let me do this, or else you won't make it.
You have to make it too.
Well, none of us are going to make it if I don't continue. And then he, like, with his free hand, the one that you don't have his arm grabbed, he grabs at his head and howls out in pain, and you see blood start to trickle out of his nose, as apparently those memories, those alien thoughts are just assaulting him now as well. Carl, what are you doing?
If memory serves, Carl was leaving.
Yes, I believe so. So, Carl, you're able to run down the corridor and get to the chamber where the elevator is. And you discover something there that is rather disturbing. The walls are shaking, not a lot, but just slightly, and especially around that strange archway, or that arch of odd stone or whatever it is that is against one wall carved out. More pieces of stone are falling from around it.
It in particular seems to be destabilizing.
Yes.
One way to look at it. Did we ever go through that archway, or did we went down the other?
It's not an archway so much. It's almost like a curved beam, almost of a ship that follows the line of the wall. And it's so if it was an archway, it would go all the way, up into the ceiling and then over to the other side of the cavern.
Carl's going to just kind of stop and look around. Now, the first time through here, we were on a mission. We're seeking something. The second time through, we were rushing to get back to we were started. But Carl all of a sudden realizes that he never really looked around from the perspective of seeing all of this kind of the broad strokes. So Carl wants to take a moment. Well, I know it seems like a terrible opportunity to do so because, this construction is odd. It's different than anything that he's seen before. But, Carl's not completely unfamiliar with different types of construction. Having essentially lived a long time, you see a lot of things. So I want to look around and just really kind of take in this architecture, this construction, and see if it makes more sense when you focus on the design as opposed to just the description, just the exterior and basic observation of it, as opposed to, what could this be?
Roll identify then.
Okay, what is... Oh, there it is. All right. Oh, that's not too shabby. That's 20.
That is pretty darn good.
By the way, I rolled a 13.
Oh, no.
I did.
Oh, come on, man.
That is a 13. And I identify as 7, so yeah, that's 13 right there.
I meant to actually look that up to see if 13 means you automatically fail.
I think, it depends on, your modifier, right? But, the danger there is you could succeed, but then also Patrick gets a thing that he can use against you later. That's
yeah, because it doesn't say you fail. It just says when the sum of any dice rolled equals 13.
Yeah.
Only the numbers on the dice, not the check. Fate turns against the good guys. A creature of the GM's choice gains a survival point, and the tension goes up by 1. Worse still, the GM can make life a little more uncomfortable for the character.
Because, I kind of like the concept that you can succeed, at what you're doing, but then, things escalate and get worse for you.
Did I say 13? No, that's 12 and a half.
Well, of course, you can always spend a survival point to re-roll altogether.
Nah, let's stick with it.
Or you can take it.
I'm going to take it.
It's a good start for the evening.
It's probably a terrible idea. Let's do it.
Carl, you begin to get an impression, and the impression that you're getting is one that is staggering to you. This arching stone or whatever that doesn't seem to be of the same material as everything around it. The eye that you saw behind that valve, the shaking all around you is messing with your concentration, but you're still... You're starting to put the angles together. You're starting to put the possibilities together, and you begin to say almost out loud in your head what you think it all means. But then a wave of the alien thought process, those memories, comes washing over you, and what you think instead is find the lost.
Oh!
And
the island is haven. No, I'm kidding.
And save the lost. And then you get an image in your head. And that image is of Candace Kane.
Ah, frickin' A. Candace!
Well.
Meanwhile.
Oh well. Whatever.
Whatever.
Even terrible people deserve to be saved, I guess. I've just developed an extreme dislike of Candace.
Agreed.
GG.
Yes.
We unfreeze frame. You have been kicking some ass with your bar stool. Tell us what it looks like.
Yeah, I want to take down the first, how many did we say, 10? The first 2 or 3. I really want to break the bar stool over somebody's head, but I feel like it's, furniture is more solidly constructed than movies get it credit for. So, find my way across the room that way. I want to, probably tables also are more solid. I can't smash somebody through a table. I want to kick somebody over a table and then flip the table over on top of them. I want to smash bottles over people's heads and just kind of whirling around the room. Get up on the bar so that people's heads are kicking level and just go down the line and just kick a bunch of people. I do want to spot that fire extinguisher and break it out and bash a couple people with it and then spray more people.
As you do all of this and cause the group as a whole to lose even more survival points than they already have, and the rabbit-headed people have lost quite a few, a voice rings out, that of Sunny, although still kind of altered by the black goo roiling around inside of her. And she says, "Enough! This is enough to make you glance over there." Mm-hmm. And you see that she's holding up something, some kind of object that she has in one hand, and she has like a pocket knife open in the other one. You see that the object is a voodoo doll, and it looks just like the one that you had found earlier of Allison. And Sunny says, "You know, you really should check the pockets of your outfits before you leave things for dry cleaning."
You went through my things. See if I leave you a good review. All right, what do you want?
She lifts the knife up and begins to bring it down. But just then, there is a sound. It's more like a vibration in the air than anything else. But all of the possessed here turn their heads and look inland toward where Fog Mountain would be. Then all of that black gooey smoke pours out of their eyes.
Ew.
And becomes a sort of an amorphous, blobby cloud in the air hanging in the middle of the lobby below the big antlered chandeliers. And then it all whooshes out through the front doors, just breaking them down. The doors just burst outward, glass breaking, and the doors shattering. And then all of the people inside, except for you and Allison, everybody inside falls down, unconscious, it appears, where they were standing. Even, well, the ones who were already unconscious from your bar stool blitz did not...
Love it.
Did not fall down. They were already down. But all of the rest have. And some of them just sort of fall apart as well.
Mm.
Arms just fall off, or heads as well, sometimes a leg, as if they were being held together by the black goo stuff itself. And you do recall that a couple, at least, including the sheriff, who isn't here, but the sheriff was ripped apart by those black tentacles up by the cabin.
Yes, that I do remember. Allison, are you hurt?
Are there any drinks left?
Yes, there's a couple on that table behind you. I don't think I smashed all of them.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. And she goes over and just downs a beer in one big long swig.
Good. We're leaving. Let's get in the car.
I'm jealous. Why do they get drinks?
They're near the bar.
We get eyeballs and creepy Carls and dead bodies that I have to use for the laser scanner, and she gets drinks.
Hey, I got chased through a hell house by demon tentacle Doc Ock guy.
Yeah, but you also got that it's a barstool blitz.
Yep. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, no, I want to leave and see if the car is unaffected. And if it is, chuck the book in the back seat. I'll pick it up before we leave the room and, drive away. Again, very quickly.
Where are you driving to?
I don't even know. I think I'm just going to the ferry, and I know there's only one ferry a day, and I will wait on that ferry dock until the one back to the mainland comes, because I want to leave this island and never return. And I think on the way there, I'll pull up the phone and call Jason and toss it to Allison and be like, tell Jason we're going to find a hotel elsewhere, back on the mainland somewhere.
Okay. Are we? I mean, my clothes and stuff the new clothes that I bought are back at the house.
Do you want to go back for them, Allison?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because I think all of our things are an acceptable loss, and I'd rather get us out of here safe and somewhat sound.
But isn't it night?
You are correct about that. And I don't know, maybe there's a boat down there that we can hotwire. I just realized that the being chased by William, his tentacle form through the house, could have had, a beautiful sunset streaming in through the windows, and that sucks. I hate that. You always want monsters like that to attack you in the nighttime. That feels more normal, but seeing them in broad daylight is like, oh, that's real, and I have to deal with it.
So by the time you get down to the ferry dock, it is dark, and Allison has said it's night. I don't think another ferry's coming until tomorrow, and but she is dialing, and so Jason, you're dragging Owl physically. I think maybe a protect roll is in order.
Okay, yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking too initially. And also, it's like, as I notice him go slightly convulsive, bleeding, am I taking any of that kind of damage as well?
No, you made your most recent rolls, I believe, or at least already dealt with them.
Okay. All right. Rolling a protect then for Owl as I'm dragging him along. Ooh, that's good. 22.
22?
No, 21.
So that is pretty good, and that's also pretty good.
Crap.
He appears to be...
Oh, no.
Was it a 13?
It's a 13.
Oh, no. I mean, I guess this is the time in, the plot arc to
and
have all these things happen.
I totally did. No, wait. Sorry, that's a 16. I was looking at a different dice.
Oh, okay. Phew. I'm running out of NPCs to kill here.
Nope. That's a 16, plus my 5 protect.
Great. Okay, so it's not a 13. That is a success. So you are dragging... Owl along. He seems disoriented from that most recent mind blast, and so you're able to do so. But you stumble at one point, falling over the form of Susie Call, who is in the middle of your path, and who would have been quite mind blown there had you that 13 stood.
Like physically stumbling over?
Yes.
Like Owl and I go prone, and
you don't go quite prone. You don't fall down. You stumble over her. It's almost like you're in a fun house. You know that the caverns can't be moving, turning as much as they seem to be, and yet it feels like you're in some sort of strobing, spinning tube almost. And so when you hit something and stumble over it, you manage to keep your feet, but you realize that it is Susie Call who has fallen on the ground, and she's trying to get back to her feet. So she seems to still be alive, but she's having difficulty.
Okay, I will assist in helping her up as best I can, and I'll ask her straight up, can you help me with Owl?
Okay, let me see. I'm going to roll her escape and see if she can bring herself out of this. It's 2d10, not 2d20. Oh, goodness. She just looks at you dazedly.
Wow. Dang.
Any change in Owl?
No, and probably that's a good thing because since he is stunned, essentially you are able to drag him along.
I kind of have 2 questions. Does anything in particular stand out from the flood of images and memories? Is there anything in particular that stood out from all of that before I grabbed Owl and started hauling ass down the cave?
Before you got specific images, and those were the ones that I gave to you back in that last episode, which I will repeat for you now. A black, lightning-laced stormy sky, a figure larger than the world, yet also contained by it, falling from the skies, a mighty heaving of the earth as the figure collides with what is now the Salish Sea, shamans chanting in a cave somewhere, strange forms and figures appearing on the landscape, still beneath this lightning-struck sky. But then your brain, you almost are able to block all of the remaining images because if you were to let them through, you would go quite mad.
Okay.
But those were the things that you saw that your brain could process.
I'm just really trying to remember if there was anything about the lighthouse and the finger of God in any of those visions, or if it seemed more like this cave.
No, actually, it didn't seem like this cave.
Similar?
It was a cave.
Okay. Okay. That is not where I was thinking. And
seemed maybe, you might be able to examine those memories in more detail when you're not in the midst of a funhouse carnival ride.
Right. Oh, man.
Right now, your choice is to stumble on with Owl, or try to grab up Susie as well, or leave them both behind and just hightail it, or, run back into the eye and worship it.
Right. Which at this point seems like a pretty good option.
Valid.
Owl seems to be a little bit more versed in what's going on, and if I knew anything about what he was mumbling, I would try to retrace the patterns that he has all over his body doing the same thing. But since he had some kind of incantation, I have no idea. I can trace the patterns all I want, but that's not going to do anything. But he seems to know more, so I would begrudgingly do my best to ignore the screaming Susie on the floor and just try to carry Owl on, hoping that we could do something more.
Okay, Carl, you had those strange thoughts that were alien to you, but didn't seem alien like the thing, whatever was happening to your brain here most recently. And of course, a lot of things have been happening to your brain very recently. But yeah, so you're thinking about all these things, and then you're able to regain that thought that you had before, and that arch in the wall, that's part of the wall almost. The word that comes to mind is, that's a rib.
Oh, so Carl's going to kind of have that jaw drop moment, and he's going to back away slowly towards the elevator, and then he's going to yell down the corridor for the others. He's like, "We should be going right now. Faster would be better." And then he's going to try to see if he can get the elevator ready to go.
You go inside. There is the panel that Frank had wrenched off of one wall that has several exposed wires. There is a fairly good chance that you can remember which ones he was messing with to get it to go down.
Good old Frank MacGyver.
But let's just make sure. Let's go with a straight up DC 15 identify check.
All right, here we go. Big money, no whammies. Ooh, that's a whammy.
Uh-oh.
Another 13?
No.
Oh.
No, much worse than that. That is, I believe, the worst roll you can make.
Double ones.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at snake eyes right there. Oh God, I don't want to do this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and spend my remaining survival point to re-roll that, because that was jaw dropping and terrifying in its own right, and I'm mad at my dice.
Yeah.
So,
are you, Sean, mad at your dice?
If this were not my own table, I would consider flipping it. So I'm not going to do that, but I am going to spend that survival point, re-roll that bad boy, and that is way better than the last roll. I am one better than 13 on the roll, so that gives me a 21.
Okay, great. Oh yeah, you absolutely recognize which ones he used, and in fact, because of your own experience with wiring your own home or whatever, you are pretty sure you can choose the right wire to reverse the elevator's function and go up.
The way I figure that working is Carl, he remembers it perfectly. You just simply take the red wire and the blue wire and you put them together and the elevator goes down. And so he gets ready to start to twist those two together when he realizes, hey, wait a minute, we want to go up. That could have been very bad. Let's not twist those two together.
Yeah, hell's just one more level down.
Yeah.
Clearly, it should have been the yellow wire. Let's grab that one and bring it over and get ready to go up.
And at that moment, Jason and Owl stumble into the chamber. Owl is being dragged along by Jason, bleeding from ears and nose. And it looks as he gets closer from his eyes, too.
Is there any change in his status? Is he coming to more?
Well, Circumstances haven't really changed. So
Okay, we haven't gotten far enough away then.
You haven't gotten far enough away, and you haven't really done anything to try to, other than just drag him along to try to get him to, return to sanity.
Okay. Did I hear Carl shout out earlier?
Yeah, that seems likely. But you also see Carl as you burst into the main room here. You see him standing in the elevator. The lights have come on in the elevator, and he's holding 2 wires up.
All right, I'm going to holler back. We need to get out of here, but Susie's still back here. Drag, drag, drag with Owl.
Carl will kind of, run out and see if he can help them along.
You do so, and you actually see Susie back down that corridor that they came from. There's a weird light thing happening where there is almost this strobing of light, but you realize that it isn't because there's light, around. There is, and in fact, that is flickering too. You didn't see it when you first started going down these corridors. The light that you had was too small, but they do seem to have been strung with fluorescent lights that hang pretty close to the ceilings of the corridors, and those are flickering and blowing out. But it almost seems too like in alternating flickers, you're not seeing light, but you're able to see in the dark, and so you're almost seeing it in a kind of a gray scale, just in flashes as it strobes.
Like,
this is one of these weird side effects of what's happening here.
Okay, well, I will give my head a shake and try to run down and see if I can't help her along.
Okay, roll a protect.
What is my protect? Oh, there it is.
And out of curiosity, am I close enough to the elevator now to set Owl down and try and go back and assist Carl in grabbing Susie?
Yes. You'll be a little bit behind, but yeah.
Okay. I do so.
My protect roll is an 18.
Nice. Oh, wait, you rolled last.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah, so that means I needed to roll something for that one. I guess I'm going to be rolling Pursue, because I want her to not escape. But I don't have a great Pursue here, so we'll see what happens. Ooh, that's a 20.
Dang.
Well,
Yeah, so you get up there, Carl, and she's standing there, and it's got that kind of the strobing things going on. She's kind of slanted at one moment, as if your feet are unstable beneath you, but she seems to be standing up perfectly fine. You see that she opens her eyes, and they're just filled with blood, and she begins saying things, and they are in a language that you don't know, but it's obviously a language of some sort, and the walls are cracking as she speaks.
so Carl's going to turn around and run back towards the elevator and be like, I don't think Susie's with us anymore.
I was wondering if it stunned you for a moment or if you paused in that, because I was just going to grab you and turn around and head back anyway. I see that and I'm already twisting my foot around and grabbing Purchase and turning back around and saying, help me with Owl. He was just like right next to the elevator.
And as you go back, you see that he's now standing up too.
Oh, good.
But he is again tracing that tattoo on his left arm, and he begins saying something, and his voice booms. As it does so, Susie reels backwards, and she disappears into that corridor there, and Owl shakes his head, but you all feel kind of a lightening of the pressure that is billowing forth down those corridors and is now permeating this air all around you, and Owl goes, we've got to go.
Red wire, yellow wire, up we go.
The door slides shut, and the elevator begins to rise. It's not a funhouse thing happening anymore. It's just an elevator going up, and then Muzak starts playing. Except you realize it's not Muzak, it's Jason's phone.
Jason's phone is just set to the girl from Ipanema.
Yeah, right. I grab it, I look at it and be like, give that confused look, and it's just confused at this point because it's like I had no idea what's going on, and sorry, Gigi, hadn't thought about you much until this point. Click the answer and hold it up to my head.
And it isn't Gigi on the other side; it's Allison, and she says, "Hey, Jason, yeah, we're at the ferry. Gigi wants to wait for the ferry, even though it doesn't come for another 18 hours or so, maybe more. Anyway, we were just attacked by, I guess, the rabbit-headed people, but they weren't rabbit-headed anymore. They were possessed by William Kitteridge, I guess our cousin William Kitteridge, or maybe he's an uncle. I'm not entirely certain.
He's a jerk,
wow.
is what he is.
So what else did you want me to tell him, Gigi? I guess while we're waiting, I'm kind of hungry. Maybe you could pick up a pizza on the way?
We're up at the weather station, and kind of occupied, riding an elevator at the moment. That's interesting to hear about, William. We've had some problems here, and we're down 2 FBI agents and a family member.
What? And so, Gigi, you hear the, Allison's tone completely change. She was obviously trying to cover her own fear. I mean, the phone is actually shaking in her hand as she's talking into it, but she's being very almost Gigi-like flippant in the hopes that this will give her some amount of strength. But then she almost loses it.
What did he say?
In that moment where Allison is paused, I'm going to put my hand over the phone and at the same time look over at Carl and try and relay as best I can what Allison just told me.
Carl will just kind of nod and we'll tell the gals I said hello.
Should we meet them somewhere?
Probably a good idea, assuming we make it to the surface.
Yeah, Gigi, he said that they're down 2 FBI agents and a family member. I don't know what that means. I know. Now he's talking to somebody and I can't hear because it's all muffled. I think he did that holding the hand over the phone thing, but that hardly ever works, but I can't really quite hear him.
Are we going to do the thing that old people do, like where the other one's like, what did they say?
Yeah, let's do that. Tell them I want mushrooms on my pizza.
Allison, put me on speaker.
Okay, hold on. And there's a bunch of beeps and such, and then suddenly it's coming on over the radio of the car because it...
What? Oh, I forgot this.
Connected to the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
This blasted car automatically connects, and whenever I don't want it to, but if I do want it to, will it connect? No. Never rent a
It's
rental.
nice to hear you again, Gigi. Have you been drinking?
What do you think, Jason?
Okay. I don't know exactly what's going on with you guys,
What are you
but it
talking
sounds
about,
like
a
it was
family
pretty
member?
intense. Skeen is no longer with us.
What? Skeen?
And Carl knows who Carl is.
Oh, well, that's something, I suppose.
And Owl is the only FBI agent left. Who's, by the way, a wizard or something.
Well, that's just what we needed, a wizard owl.
Hearing that, Carl actually looks at Owl like, wait, are you a wizard? Is that...
I am not a wizard.
Wizard would be cool.
He's got a bit of the arcane to him, let's just put it that way.
Well, at this point, I wouldn't be
see him with his
surprised if
shirt
everyone
off.
and their mother drive through the McDonald's drive-through, and the young man behind the counter is like, "Welcome to McDonald's," woo, and does a spell. What? How? Well,
where do we need to meet you?
we're at the ferry. I don't frankly care how long it takes, but everything here is terrible, and I think we should leave.
The ferry's not coming for a while.
Oh, hush.
I think we need to find someplace a little more...
Safe, Jason? There aren't any safe places.
Carl, with a weird calm, looks and says, are we still getting pizza?
How can you think about pizza?
You know, Carl might have a point. It sounds like we've all had near-death experiences today, and it wouldn't do to...
Carl just shrugs, like, I
go without food.
I get hungry when I'm stressed.
Oh, wow.
So, says Allison, bad fish?
Yeah, and I kind of want that to happen, like, right as we reach the top of the elevator and the doors open, and Jason just throws up his hands and like, fine, we'll meet you at the Bad Fish, and hangs up.
Yeah, so the doors open, and you say that, Jason, and then you step over the bodies that are lying in your way.
They've become routine at this point. It's just like, oh.
And you all get outside.
Yeah, I'm like, your car or ours?
Yeah, he just gets into the SUV.
Okay.
And goes, I think we'll take the one that isn't all beat to hell.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about your Jeep.
Crawl in next to it. Nick, I don't know. Would Carl automatically go for a shotgun?
Probably.
Okay. Jason defers and probably sits right behind Owl, or at least to where he can converse easily with the front passengers.
Let's go with a commercial break. As you reconvene at the Bad Fish Brewery, Owl has pulled a change of shirts out of the back of the SUV, so he is dressed once more.
Is there any weaponry that I would suggest to be like, hey, I think we all need to be armed at this point? Do I notice anything in the FBI cruiser?
Sure you do, but I don't know if Al would just give you like FBI service weapons.
Well, we're all dealing with the same shit.
That's true.
Yeah, let's talk about that in the Bad Fish.
Okay.
There may be things that we can do, but I'm pretty sure that my spare service revolver is not going to do damn fucking squat.
Yeah. Well, not all of us have tattoos that, for some reason, silence the mind control.
Yeah, about that, Owl, who do the voodoo that you do?
So well.
Well, let's go meet the others and we'll talk.
All right.
And thus it happens, so it happens that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you gather in a booth at the Bad Fish with another chair pulled up at the end of it, and are once more all together, all the remaining Inheritors on Elk Island.
Well, now it sounds like a bad idea when you put it that way.
Yeah, Gigi would be probably hunched over whatever drink she ordered, and one of her legs is just like bouncing like so aggressively. She keeps looking around the place.
You are probably well into being drunk at this point, Gigi. I would think, given your bad habit.
Not drunk enough.
If you are going to go ahead and be drunk, I will give you another survival point.
I will be drunk.
And I will give everybody who survived Fog Mountain a survival point for surviving that terrible, terrible scenario.
Woohoo!
You did well.
Some of us could use it.
Ish.
Yeah, I'm at 2 survival points now, and I feel like I'm like swimming in survival points. Like, oh yeah, this is the stuff. 2 survival points.
Yeah, let's go back and do it again.
So much. You guys have done that once already.
Did we really get that far away where the tension dropped that much?
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God.
The tension has dropped considerably here.
So as we're driving down off of Fog Mountain, we feel the exhaustion. We feel the events like just totally our muscles start to relax. We're no longer in mid adrenaline rush.
Yeah, you know when you've like gone up a really tall mountain and you're super tired, and then you like are getting really tired as you drive, and then you maybe fall asleep on the couch and sleep through the podcast recording, and then everyone else teases you about it.
Exactly like that.
Oddly specific, but yeah, now that you mention it.
Just off the top, a random non-specific example.
Go on with your excellent description, Jesse.
No, that's fine, and I'm kind of glad that Owl is driving instead of me in the Jeep that pulls a little bit to the right, because I just start to feel the effects of all of this. But at the same time, the relaxing of the muscles kind of like helps me regain my senses, and I start to think about all the things that happened, and just remembering some of the chanting and everything that Owl was going through as he was tracing these tattooed symbols all over his body. And I want to question Owl more on the way down. But yeah, we got to the point where he was like, nope, let's wait. We'll reconvene etc. Blah blah blah. So I'm like, fine, and I'm holding it in. So I've still kind of got like all these bottled questions. Like,
that's going to raise the tension up. Then that's going to make it very tense.
Jesse.
No, I'm just
It goes
kidding.
back
You're
up
fine,
to 15.
You're fine. The bad fish is a safe place for you.
Well, now that you've said that, I'm nervous about it.
biting my tongue until we can all get settled in.
All right, you are all settled in. The server brings over some drinks, and you split them among yourselves this time, even though they were all meant for Gigi.
Gigi looks nice and rosy, and Allison looks nice and pale.
Pale, rumpled, scared, and everybody for a moment just looks at one another.
Not knowing what to say. Not knowing where to start, for that matter.
I'll take my drink, and I'll hold it up over the table and look everyone there in the eyes and go, to skiing.
To skiing.
To skiing.
To skiing, says Allison. But what happened?
Do I realize more of the memories? Okay, I guess my question is, how much of the memories did Carl glean about the skiing incident?
I don't think Carl got any of that.
Yeah, no.
So that was mostly in Jason's memories.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what happened up there? I mean, we had a really bad day.
Family will do that to you.
So you ran into William again.
You could say that. He,
Was it really William? Simple yes or no.
Jason, do you remember the, up by the cabin, the, tentacles of darkness that came out of the trees and tore people apart, threw bits of them everywhere? He, was sort of made of those, and, also other things. He appeared to, contain within the not insubstantial form of his body the, bodies of other things, including, his own brother Kit and his 2 dogs, and I don't know, there was a lot of other stuff churning around in there.
Surprise. More questions, but not knowing where to start with those questions.
Well, what happened up there? Says Allison.
Damn you, Allison. Yeah, so weather station, dead bodies, elevator ride down into the heart of the mountain.
I'm going to need more conjoining phrases here, Jason. There was the weather station, and there were lots of... oh, that's right. They told us about the bodies, so you saw those bodies.
Right.
The pre-existing ones.
Yeah, with a glance over to Owl to see if he's acknowledging any of this.
He nods. Yes, the people manning the station were quite mangled.
So there was an elevator.
The elevator went into the heart of Fog Mountain, where there was a cavern, and we saw Old Carl, but not Old Carl.
Was he also all, I like gesture, like...
Not from what you're describing.
Smoky.
It was quite different. If anything, I would say more like a possession or some kind of ghoul.
Oh.
Yeah, so we ran down this, cavern tunnel, and found this giant hatch, which had a giant eyeball behind it.
A what?
Yeah, and then we were outside.
Wait. I need more connective tissue again.
No,
You're inside,
that's how it
and then
happened.
You saw a giant eyeball, and then you were just outside again.
Yes.
Like
we don't know what happened between that point.
Aliens and lost time.
We'll go with that for now, but that's as close as we can come.
Owl has he's wiping away blood from his nose that started dripping blood just a little bit again, but he doesn't seem to be minding that too much. And he has pulled out his notebook, a new notebook, presumably, and is jotting down notes in it because he hasn't heard this part of the story.
Me and Carl appeared outside of the weather station directly after finding the eyeball, not knowing how that happened, and it seemed that time had passed because the FBI agents, Owl and Susie and Frank, were there when we went back to the weather station because we weren't very far from it. And then in a mad dash, I had to show them what we had found, and maybe that wasn't the best idea. I'm sorry, Owl. I don't know how close you were with your partners.
Looking at him, you actually see that he's crying. There's like tears rolling down his cheeks. He wipes those away too and just nods and then goes back to his notes.
And we did eventually find Skeen as tears start to form along Jason's face as well. Headless.
I think it's safe to say they all deserved better than that.
To Frank and Susie, Owl says.
To Frank and Susie.
Frank and
I just
Susie.
wordlessly lift my glass.
We showed them the eye again. And like I said, not a good idea, because that is how we lost Frank and Susie. We barely made it out. It tore our minds into 1,000 pieces, and trying to put them back together is still kind of a struggle. I'm still reeling from the experience. Is there anything more that you can impart about what happened to us, Owl? I mean, do you know anything about what's going on here?
Well, first I'd like to find out what happened to you, Allison, Gigi.
Yes, we had gone, so that was the manor house to look for the book. And when we found the library, it was down a flight of stairs, and it felt like it should have been up a flight of stairs, because it was on the second floor, but the house is really large, and bits of it, we used to joke that it moves around sometimes. And our cousin, we'll just use the word cousin, was inside, threatening. Candace was there. Jason, Carl. He was threatening her life. Flung her across the room, full of tentacles. We ran.
Is she still there?
By him. Oh, as far as I know, she didn't seem likely to survive after being flung across the library with supernatural strength by a shadowy tentacle. And he had been, threatening to spill Cain blood or whatever, and I guess she must count by marriage. Anyway, he tried to consume Allison. Obviously, he didn't succeed, but that was a rather disturbing part of this misadventure. But anyway, we fled. We got out of the house eventually. We drove to what we thought was safety at the lodge. And you know who was there, Jason? It was all those people who were there at the cabin wearing the masks of rabbits. And they had taken the heads off because they didn't care anymore, because you see, William had gotten to them, and he had filled their eyeballs with his flowy black smoke stuff and possessed them or something. And I was fighting them off, but then there was a sound or something, and it distracted them. All the shadow stuff flowed out of them and away through the doors, so we left immediately.
Owl nods.
Is Owl actually saying something, or did he just nod and
He just nodded.
Yes, Mr. FBI agent, you have something to say about this, or some conclusion that you have reached?
I fear it's not going to be satisfactory to you, but I will...
Oh? Unsatisfactory? Like anything on this island has been satisfactory from the moment I stepped on, except for me reconnecting with you, Allison. Everything on this island is terrible, and we should go.
I'm concerned that we might not be able to, but before we get to that, well, let's see. All right, so first of all, my name was not originally Owl or Nizoni. I had my name changed when I turned 18. I will admit I was a bit of a activist rebel at the time, I suppose. And my parents had saddled me with the fine ancestral name of John Gray. It was a fine enough name, I suppose, but I wanted something that spoke to my ancestry, the ancestry that I had looked into so much. So I chose a Navajo word and then owl, because I liked owls. And I kept that. Well, I kept that, and I always have. I've not regretted that choice any, but I tell you this because it speaks to what I pursued after that, which was also, as you called it, I believe, on the way down, the arcane.
Oh, yes, okay, Jason's leaning in.
I'm going to flag down the waitress for another whiskey.
She comes over and leans in and goes, I'm sorry, I really shouldn't, I'm really not supposed to give you any more.
An Irish coffee, then.
That also has alcohol in it. I can get you some snacks, and those pizzas should be coming out soon. Gigi immediately loses a survival point for not being able to get liquor. No.
For not being able to get another drink. I will simply die if I do not have whiskey at this time.
Gigi's buzz is now harshed. Lose 1 survival point.
Gigi is Bender.
Gigi is clearly over the limit, by the way. She is not one of these people who, is hiding it well right now.
And when the server is gone, Owl continues, and he says, and it wasn't just, Native American magic that I studied or looked into. I can't really say studied. I was young, and I was just looking into anything. I read, all the urban fantasy, science fiction books I could get my hands on. I found myself going to old bookstores, and somewhere along in there I decided that it would be a cool idea to start getting some of those symbols that I was coming across in my studies tattooed on me. I just thought they were cool,
Yeah, roll up your sleeves and show her.
He pauses, looks at you for a moment, and then does so. He unbuttons the cuffs on his left shirt sleeve and rolls the shirt back up to his elbow. And yeah, so Gigi, you can see that he just has has several tattoos winding together there. Some of them seem distinct. Others seem like they flow into one another. All of them are fairly well done. Some of them are even multiple colors. They're not just, single color tattoos. But it's everything up above his the cuff line, and he's like, I learned this from reading about the Yakuza. I thought, I anticipated that one day I might want to have a reputable job, and so all of my tattoos are covered by clothing. But honestly, I have never encountered anything like what we encountered up there. My studies when I was young led me to when I became a bit more, how shall I say it, not straight-laced. I was never straight-laced, but more in tune with, regular society, I suppose. Anyway, college led me to the FBI, and when I was in the FBI, my studies eventually came back to be of some interest in certain departments of the FBI that mostly they do throwaway investigations. I mean,
you work for the X-Files.
A whole lot of magic. I don't work for the X-Files. Everybody says that. Everybody goes immediately there.
Okay.
We don't call it that.
That's
Answer me this question then. What you have seen and what you have experienced with us at this point.
It's called Project Yellow King.
Oh, because that's better.
Is it of this world?
What we just saw? I don't think so. I mean, do you think it was? Because I don't think it was.
I mean, I'm not saying it's aliens.
But it's aliens.
But it could be, I don't know. I mean, I love sci-fi fantasy stuff. Is this something from another world, another dimension, another quantum reality? Do you know, can you tell us anything about that?
I just went immediately for the most powerful protection glyph that I have on my body. I had no idea it was going to work, but then when it did, I don't know what that means anymore. I have seen strange things, and I have heard even stranger things. I have heard so many stories about so many things you would have no idea. Mm-hmm. But that was astonishing.
Okay.
Yeah, it was real great. I'm going to dig in my the bundle of my coat, which is on the seat beside me, and pull out the
Pizza comes.
All right, I'm gonna wait for the pizza to finish being put on the table. Pull out the voodoo doll of Allison and kind of toss it on the tabletop between us and go, "Can you make this stop working?"
Jason's a little taken aback. He's not familiar with this voodoo doll and kind of like shrinks back from the table because he's seen similar things, like with one of the fortune tellers that did hang around with the carnival for a while that he was working with, and he's a little wary of hoodoo voodoo kind of objects.
Yeah, someone's been using it to target Allison, and I thought that keeping it safe on my person would be enough. It was not. So, can you turn it off? Dispose of it.
Owl reaches out and like just pulls it over to him with one finger, but as he touches it, there's like a spark of energy, and he like pulls his hand back real quick, and then he reaches forward again and touches it again, but this time nothing happens, as if there had been a static discharge of some sort left over from his protective glyph, perhaps. And he pulls it over and examines it and goes, yeah, this is fairly standard. Yeah, it just has, so it looks like used hair. Who's this of?
I point my thumb at Allison.
What? It's of me? What?
Do you... yes, Allison. The night that your mirror exploded, I went into the bathroom afterwards at the lodge, and this was behind the mirror. I thought that keeping it in my things would keep it safe, and no one could use it to harm you anymore.
But why didn't you tell me? And
do you remember the state?
She said it was in the dry cleaning.
The state that you were in. Drunk? That doesn't have anything to do with it. The state that you were in that night. Do you really think if I had shown you a little poppet of yourself,
you're completely
with your own
blitzed
hair,
now?
So that doesn't have anything to do with it either.
While they're bickering back and forth, I look at Al and I ask, "Is it okay to destroy now?"
Yeah. Hold on. Let me just remove the items that connect it to the original person. Hold on, let me try to remember. And he mutters something, and there's a snap. But you don't know where... I mean, the snap didn't come from the voodoo doll or from even the air, really. It was almost a little snap inside of each of your heads. And then he goes, yeah, it should be fine. Just don't do the ceremony again while attaching, people's body parts to it.
Oh, this wasn't created by me. I found it behind her mirror in her hotel room after she had been terrified out of her wits by a series of events that evening.
As Jason swipes up the doll, walks over to the fireplace in the bad fish and throws it in.
And then it goes up in like a big burst of green flame, and like several people look over and go, "Dude!" And
I just kind of like look around like, chemicals, shrugging it off. Chemicals.
Roundup, am I right?
Saunter back over and squat back down, looking back and forth between everybody.
Jason, what the hell are you doing? I know this isn't Scooby-Doo, but you could have hurt Allison.
At this point, I trust Owl. You have not seen what I have seen.
All right.
We do have one more story to tell, I think, this evening, and Owl looks at Carl.
The whole table turns and looks at Carl.
Yeah, for sure.
So you guys all kind of turn over to Carl, who's been kind of sitting there listening and watching everything unfold and quietly drinking a beer and nibbling on a slice of pizza. And you notice that at some point he snagged a pencil from somewhere and has been kind of sketching something out on the napkin right there in front of him. It almost seemed absentmindedly at first, but then he takes the napkin and he spins around and he slides over the table. And you see initially Fog Mountain, but it looks a little different. And it's one of those pictures where, depending on how you look at it, you see different things.
Oh, it's two women looking at each other. Or is it a vase?
It's kind of like that. He says, I don't think Fog Mountain is a mountain.
What do you mean, Carl? Of course it's a mountain. What do you think it's a... What else would it be?
I think it's a corpse.
And that seems like a good place to stop this episode of the Gothic Podcast.
Oh, wow.
You guys have got to get a wide variety of ending statements. Oh, wow. It's been used too many times already.
Bill, stop
okay.
saying wow-worthy things.
Gee willikers, Batman.
The Gothic Podcast is an actual play audio drama produced by C. Patrick Nagel, starring C. Patrick Nagel, Sharon Gollery-Lafournaise, Jesse Baldwin, and Richard Southard. Theme music is by Zoe Hovland, with cover artwork by Jared George Art. Season 2 of the Gothic Podcast uses rules from the Monster of the Week RPG by Michael Sands and the Dead of Night RPG by Steam Power Publishing. Look us up by name on all the social medias or email us at thegothicpodcast@gmail.com. Support for the Gothic Podcast comes from you, our listeners, so please rate, review, and share. And check out our Patreon page, too. Thanks!
To scheme, says Allison. But what happened?
Well, let's just say this beer has more head on it than Skeen does.
Oh,
I take another shot.